So, you part of Rashtriya Rifles also. You commanded Rashtriya Rifles. In spite of having so much army, एक अलग RR unit की under the Ministry of Home Affairs क्यों ज़रूरत पड़ी? And उसकी significance क्या है? Why it is required and why it can't be done away with?
So again, that issue, that separation of the task, conventional job is by army, and the internal security situation is technically required to be done by. So why is army not involved in LWE? It is not a LWE, left-wing extremism that is in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and all. No? It is a internal security matter in which Ministry of Home is involved, right? So it was much more pragmatic to bring all these things into the matter of home, because bureaucracy is involved, political dispensations are involved, controls of so many other state infrastructures required, which is totally not the purview of Ministry of Defence, right? So while counter-infiltration operation on the LC were continued to be done by the army, which was present there, but that is only on along the LC. But inside, it required a force which had a different nature, different training. On LC, you are trained to shoot at sight. That chap may be carrying a weapon, not carrying a weapon. I can kill, right? But inside, it is your own people. You just can't kill at sight. You have to confirm, firm. Even if he's a terrorist and is not opening fire at you, you don't have to kill him. You can't kill him actually. It's murder. So you got to take that chap out in case he opens fire, or he is a clear threat to the society or system, right? So there is a total different. It is required to orient a force totally differently. It is not easy, to have a shift of a mind. When you know the enemy is going to come from front, you are looking on the front. But here when you are sitting, 1000 लोग चल रहे हैं, इसमें से कौन आदमी आपके ऊपर ग्रेनेड फेंक के चलाएगा पता नहीं आपको. So, and you can't be trigger happy. So there is a full swing of training which was required to be done, right? And that is how Rashtriya Rifles was created. In hinterland, in 90s, there was no army there. There was only a sub-area, and there were 1 or 2 infantry battalions which were there, and they were grossly inadequate to manage the situation. And BSF was inducted. BSF was largely inside, but then of course, it's a good force. Again, it has got a defined role which is on the border. It is not in the internal situation. And similarly, CRPF got a defined different role. It is not a counter-terror operations which is there. So therefore, Rashtriya Rifle was created essentially for higher reaches, jungles, and of course into some. So like Srinagar town is there. Indian Army is not there, right? Srinagar town is totally with CRPF. But all the fringes and above into jungles and mountains are with you, with the Rashtriya Rifle.
So as a soldier, do you have आपको ज़रूरी है कि आप टेररिस्ट को सीधा मार सकते हो, या आपको लिए ज़रूरी है कि पहले उसे ज़िंदा पकड़ो और अगर कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है तो ही मारो in value?
Though, it has to be a clear defined threat, right? Firstly, he has to be carrying a weapon. If you can identify that he's a terrorist, there are so many ways over experience that he's a terrorist. He's running away from you. You are trying to chase. So you try and neutralize him in a manner in which you can. Because while the best terrorist is a dead terrorist, but in a current situation, you just don't know. The child, I was a brigade commander in Lulab, right? There were 2 instances in which in a jungle, ambush was there. Our guys were in an ambush. It was a terrorist area. 2 youth वीडियो बनाने के लिए, गर्लफ्रेंड को दिखाने के लिए जंगल के अंदर लकड़ी का हथियार लेके चल रहे थे, ठीक है? सो रात का वक्त है, पहली बात है आपको होना नहीं चाहिए था रात को वहाँ पर, बट अब आ गए. सो लेट्स से इफ आवर सोल्जर्स हैड फायर्ड, इट वाज ओके, justifiable, right? So today you can say justifiable, but you look at the legality of it and also look at the inner consciousness of it, right? Our soldiers are not murderers. They are soldiers. They know they are operating in an environment where citizens and civilians are involved of our country. So वो देखा उन्होंने नाइट विजन डिवाइस के अंदर. They allowed them to come closer. They have challenged them. They ran. Now once challenged, what is the first instinct of a civilian? he will run. So the second parameter which I told you, if he is running and he is carrying a weapon, I can shoot at him. But have I been able to confirm that he is a terrorist? Now if you run behind him and he turns back, now you are sitting in an ambush, you are covered. Now you get up and you open. He fires. Who will die? Soldier will die. So there's a huge grey. Eventually in both instances, they ran, they caught these two chaps. Turned out to be just normal civilians. Just for glamour, girl, reel बनाने का चक्कर जो होता है ना पुराने ज़माने में, उसके लिए गए हुए थे. They want to show off to the girls that they are carrying weapons and they are also
Stardom.
Stardom. उसके अंदर रात का वक्त है. So this is the challenge which a soldier has to go through, and that requires a different mindset and orientation. So I'm grateful that you asked this question. Eventually he doesn't shoot. But let's say this Mahadev has happened. जंगल में है, 3 लोग हैं, क्लियर कट स्पॉट हो गए, नज़र आ गया, उसमें से एक आदमी आइडेंटिफाई भी हो रहा है. So what are they? Terrorists. So should you wait them and go and wake them up? हाँ भाई, आप टेररिस्ट हो.
बंदूक दिखाओ.
वो नज़र आने नहीं, बंदूक दिखाओ कि लकड़ी की है, सच्ची है. ये पहलगाम में इस्तेमाल हुई कि नहीं हुई, right? Will you fire at me? That question is not required. So thereafter you maybe challenge, you fire, and thereafter you take him out. But essentially you cover all possible legal parameters and also consciousness measures. Indian soldiers are not like Pakistani soldiers or the soldiers from the West where they can kill a civilian.
अपने F-16 से बॉम्ब गिरा दिया और जाके सिविलियंस को मार दिया.
सो गए अपना. And then they may also claim very happily कि हमने उड़ा दिए, देखो तो सिविलियन थे, बच्चे भी थे, so bloody who cares? It's a dead guy. Dead Afghan is a good Afghan. That's not the way we do. That is why our soldiers are also respected all over the world, by the way.
So 2016 बुरहान वानी, इतना उसके बाद हंगामा हुआ, वो क्यों हुआ? और उसके बाद जब हुर्रियत के गिलानी जी की हुई, वो क्यों नहीं हुआ? राइट, डेथ के बाद व्हाट चेंज्ड? एंड बुरहान वानी के केस में इतना शोर क्यों मचा था? वाई ओनली बुरहान वानी, वाई नॉट? ये कल्ट फिगर कैसे बन गया था?
I'll just say one couple of things that एक हमारा DNA प्रॉब्लम, इंडियन DNA का प्रॉब्लम है ना. जब आपको पीस नज़र आने लगता है और पीसफुल नज़र आने लगता है तो आप पीस पे बिलीव करने तो पीस हो गया. So thereafter your guards start getting down. At least realizing that Pakistan and the people who are working behind them are revisionist. They will keep
assessing,
they will keep on coming out with new strategies. So when Burhan Wani thing happened, virtually peace, the Jammu and Kashmir was quite peaceful.
Correct.
Right.
मुझे याद है मैं उस टाइम पे छुट्टी प्लान कर रहा था वहाँ पे.
Yeah. So suddenly what has happened is that they did not realize that this is also going on in the back. That a shift from foreign terrorists to local terrorists is taking place. And shift from North Kashmir to South Kashmir is taking place. South Kashmir was so peaceful that there's no terrorists. In fact, I was there in 13-14 as a deputy commander. There were hardly any terrorists. So the focus shifted totally to a different paradigm, which is again a flaw. And that is a flaw of our nature, our country's nature. We sink into lullabies very fast, okay? And then start believing those lies.
All is well.
Yeah, all is well. And this was happening, and actually Burhan Wani was a poster boy, handsome, young.
Facebook friendly,
with
guns.
And the digital thing was on, internet was on, mobile had just started coming up. And the radicalization through online had just commenced of the local boys. And nothing. When you are 12 years old, or rather 8 years old to 25 years old, nothing excites you more than a gun, right? It can be in uniform and it can be outside the uniform.
Sir, gun चाहिए और मेरे को वावा ही चाहिए, recognition चाहिए.
So, and the girls also look at it. थोड़ा सा बाल बढ़ा लो.
मैं Rambo
हूँ. So, all those things were working out. And this guy was hardly used. He didn't do any operation or something. He became the poster boy, right? And there was so much of a affection which came about. And then he was one of the first local so-called terrorists killed in that point of time, right? And when this operation happened, I guess that time's establishment which was there did not understand the ramification of the mobile world or the world of WhatsApps or the messaging or
Narrative
internet.
and information.
Narrative. So one was narrative, and second is it could be used to get people together very fast. So he died within hours. There were lakhs of people on the streets in that area, right? So their poor understanding of that time. Okay, poor, maybe this is the first time, right? So therefore that led to this challenge, and it took some time to be controlled, but it was controlled, all right. So there is one.
What changed?
I think, क्या नाम है, गिलानी की डेथ मेरे टाइम पे होनी थी when I was the boss in चिनार कोर. उससे पहले ना एक सहराई करके था, उसकी डेथ हुई थी. And I knew somehow in my very gut this thing, कि this guy is going to die only when I am going to be there, right?
सराय
गिलानी. क्योंकि पहले जब मैं ब्रिगेड कमांडर था, डिप्टी कमांडर था, तो ये काफ़ी प्रैक्टिस होती थी कि अगर वो होगा तो फिर क्या होगा. So, you know, people were very worried about his popularity and his issue. Actually, he did not have popularity. And this is a line which I used to articulate that point of time. He had a great amount of fear amongst the people. Political, bureaucracy, people who were in the establishment, the business. He had a great amount of fear because if he took out a card for somebody to be killed, he'll be knocked off, right? And he had got number of killings done, right? Because somebody who was a competitor, somebody who didn't believe in him, or there were issues. And so that fear was the one which would drive. The second is that Kashmiris are very emotional people, right? But they are also sane people. When they understand what is going wrong, they will not like to participate, but unfortunately, there is a system of organized. It has been practiced over a period of time. Organized protest का concept होता था. And what changed was that slowly Gilani got exposed at that point of time, and I think the system had become much more smarter. And at least I was quite fully aware. I knew कोई नहीं आएगा. But also, why should you take a chance? There will be always, urge. So an urge of an emotional thing. After all, he was there for a long time in the psyche of the people. He was also an elderly gentleman, right? So Kashmiris are that way. They're something like us. ठीक है, बुजुर्ग है, तो ये लोग इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं. Why should you allow a situation in which incitement by anti-national elements are possible? So there was a system which was put in place, and it was ensured that at least for a day, nothing silly happened. And on the second day, virtually everything was opened up. And once that balloon goes out, it takes only about 24 hours, and nothing happened thereafter. In fact, on the third day, there was Muharram on, and people reached out to the government that हमको Muharram का procession होना चाहिए. So that administration is like that. नहीं अभी बहुत sensitive है, नहीं होगा. And then I spoke to LG myself. I called him up. I said, sir, trust me, nothing will happen, and allow this to go through, right? And I give you the guarantee nothing will happen. There's no army deployed. There was no police which was deployed. Nothing. I spoke to the Shia leaders, and I said, look, it is up to you to reflect to the country and the world that things will not go wrong. Please do whatever you have to do in the correct manner. It is a religious procession. And they did everything. Everything went off hunky-dory. Nothing, no issues. There was within 48 hours, if I am not wrong. In fact, I was after that time DGP and IGP to remove the constraints of internet also. Within 24 hours, everything was off.
सर प्यार मोहब्बत और समझाने से सब कुछ हो गया.
सब हो जाता है. लोग समझते हैं आप एंगेज करना जरूरी होता है, हम एंगेज नहीं करते.
पावर ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन. इट वाज वेरी इंसाइटफुल, क्योंकि मैंने आज आपसे काफ़ी टॉपिक्स पे बात की, काफ़ी टॉपिक्स पे और करना चाहता था. वो मैं आपका उसके लिए फिर से टाइम लूँगा. लेकिन वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट यू नो as far as information warfare is concerned, we discussed about ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, ऑपरेशन महादेव, क्या उसमें डिफ़िकल्टीज आती हैं, क्या त्रुटियां होती हैं, कैसे नैरेटिव्स बिल्ड किए जाते हैं. हमने आपसे ये भी सीखा कि आर्टिकल 370 की सिग्निफिकेंस क्या थी, क्या वजह थी कि उसकी वजह से कश्मीर में इतना चेंज आया, प्रॉब्लम क्या है कश्मीर में, उसकी अराउंड डायनामिक्स क्या होते हैं एक लार्जर सोसाइटी में, कि एक हमारी आर्मी इतनी मॉरल आर्मी क्यों है, इतनी एथिकल आर्मी क्यों है, कैसे इन फ्यूचर जनरेशंस वी कैन हैव बेटर नेशनलिज्म. इट वाज वेरी आई थिंक अ ब्रेथ टॉपिक सर. एंड लाइक यू ऑलवेज यू टोल्ड मी, आपने बिल्कुल इसका बिना किसी, मैंने कोई भी आपके साथ क्वेश्चन शेयर नहीं किया था पास में, एंड आपने एब्सोल्युटली एक्सटेम्पोर दिल से बोला. एंड नो वंडर यू आर अ पीपल्स जनरल. So thank you for coming on the show, sir, and extremely privileged to have you. Jai Hind,
Thank you. Thanks, Manas. Thank you.